Eagles universe, what it do? We back off season 3, week 2. All the off season goodies we're gonna be discussing over the next few weeks because we're gonna prep y'all for free agency. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna prep you for draft. Players that we might can get, players we might keep. We had the salary cap increase, so that's gonna be a factor in certain players that may have been on the way out that may get an opportunity to stay. Possibly some guys that we previously had may slide back through. And there's a little bit more bread to move around. But just to give you a quick rundown, salary cap numbers, we're going to talk about that. Cutting some specific players, salary cap implications, all that good stuff. We're going to do a free agency primer on defense, players on our team that are free agents that we might bring back, players from the outside, rumored that possibly we could, bring back. And then we're also going to do something that we had to separate from last week, which is positives, if you feel there are any from last season. So, hey, a lot of things are going to be happening on Eagles Elite this week, and you can look forward to that. We're here to bring you Eagles content and make it elite every week. So, pulling in with me this week, my man Wyatt. Wyatt, what up?
What's good, everybody? Another week of Eagles talk, with the combine right around the corner and the draft right around the corner. There's a lot to talk about, along with all the other stuff that you mentioned here. I'm excited to get into it tonight.
Yes, sir. And Benny, what up? Hey, Benny, I got my joint today, bro. I'm rocking it. I love it.
What up, Benny?
I'm gonna have to chop it up with you offline, Benny. We're gonna have to chop it up a little bit. But yeah, man. So before we get into anything, we're gonna do things real smooth and breezy like the wind. So before we get into anything else, intro time.
The kick is away, and the kick is it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Yeah, man. Nothing gets you more hype.
It's been a minute. I feel like I haven't seen that intro in a while now.
What? Hey, man. Also, I'm going to slide this in a couple of times tonight. We got to sponsor y'all, but we need y'all help. We need y'all support. So, BetUS. You done any betting? Or you're interested in possibly checking it out? Use this link right here on the bottom. And your peoples get a slight kickback off you using this link to place your bets. So, hey, BetUS, you on there. Make sure you go through that Shady Sports Network link and help your peoples keep the lights on, keep things moving good around here, help us grow this thing.
Yes, sir. Play responsibly, too.
Well, yeah.
I feel like that needs to be said.
Fair enough. And then Benny says he about to do another promotion tour next week to Cali. He'll be gone for 2 weeks. That's what's up. But hey, Benny, while you gone,
spreading the word.
Still check your boys out. And if you can't do it live, well, your people's out. Because boys, your people's out. And if you can't check us out live, hey, check out that replay, bro. It all helps in them numbers, and we need that for them algorithms so we can grow this thing. All right, so lots to talk about. The question is, where do we want to start? So for me, it's real easy. For me, the place to start all the time, salary cap numbers, right? Salary cap. So why I know you're ready because I understand who I have and why. So talk to us about the cap numbers that we have now and the increase that we had from last year. I know you got the information. I don't even have
I am sorry, I don't have the numbers on, like the exact numbers. I do know the salary cap went up, I believe, 30 million into the next season. Or I don't have the exact numbers. I'm sorry, I failed you. Cool. I had other updates. I didn't have the exact
you good,
salary
man.
cap numbers, though.
You good, man. You good. Because you know your boy will always be ready. So the salary cap for 2024 is set for 255.4 million. In 2023, for the 2023-2024 season, the cap was 224.8 million. This is a $30.6 million increase in the salary cap. So to put that in perspective, this is the largest in free agency history. What this means is that if you had $5 million in salary cap, you now have $35.6 million in salary cap. Theoretically. Now, that could be lower based on contracts that you sign for the future. You expecting an increase, or maybe signing some people to, deals already knowing that you were going to have an increase. But definitely that 255.4 was way up from what the projection was. One of the reasons that was given is that because of COVID and how things kind of decreased throughout COVID, this was the year to kind of get things back on track where they would have been had that not, kind of set everything back. So, hey, the most increase in free agency dollars in the history of free agency. So, hey, excited. And what that means for us, we'll talk about, of course. So, Wyatt, I know you didn't have that, and that's all good, but I know you got numbers. So let's do it this way. What players? I'm sure you have this information. What players can we cut and save more money if we choose to cut them?
And save more money?
Mm-hmm.
More so like players, a lot of the... Oh, go ahead, man. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say players that, we have under this contract that cutting will help give us more cap space.
I mean, I believe it's more just like a lot of the younger guys that are on smaller deals. I mean, we always talk about moving on from like James Bradberry, which I'm sure we'll talk about more in depth throughout the show, where cutting someone like him is going to cost you a little bit of dead money past the June 1st cut deadline this year and the next. A lot of the others, let me just pull up the free agents here. I mean, like, let me see, like Justin Evans. If you decided to move on, let him go. It's not going to really cost you anything as far as that. It's a lot of like the smaller deals, which is, I wouldn't say a good majority of who we have, but I would say a handful. I don't have the full numbers for
some
every
of the names. Some of the names that we would save quite a bit of money on, of course, Kevin Byard. Mm-hmm. He's 30 years old. There's a 2-year, $25 million contract. He's guaranteed $7 million. But if we cut him, I'm at a different thing here. But if we cut him, I believe we would save $7 million on the cap, even after his dead money. I need to go to another place, so we'll come back to that because
Josh Sweat
things got wonky on me real quick. Yeah, Josh Sweat is another one that we could cut.
4.3 mil if we ended up cutting him.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. So let's do it this way while we're waiting on that. Let's go to some players that so players that you think, salary cap aside, but players that you think we should cut. So we're not going to worry about the cap. We'll talk about the cap in a few minutes. But just if you're looking from a play perspective, if you're looking from age, play, all those good things, we'll go player for player. Someone that you think we should cut before the 2024 season.
I mean, we can start with dude you just mentioned, possibly Kevin Byard. I mean, we haven't really seen too much out of him. Who knows if it could be due to the terrible defensive scheme that we had since we ended up acquiring him. But yeah, Kevin Byard, easily, I could say. More so, probably Shaq Leonard as well. Definitely, I would say I would cut Shaq Leonard over Byard for sure. Because who knows? I feel like Byard could possibly have something left in the tank. It's hard to say, but not only would cutting him help out a little bit, but as far as the cap hit, because it would help out by 14 million. It shows with that deal that he has, which is crazy. I didn't know that's how much his deal was still. So I mean, I would definitely help cut him because who knows how much he has left in the tank, and also because we get a lot of money back. I know you said forget about the cap, but I mean that's a huge help right there.
Well, he's a big candidate, I think, for restructuring as well. Because if we could get that number more reasonable, I think it would be somebody that would be worth keeping if we can get that number down, right? We don't want to, if you can save 14 million by cutting them, then you want to go in and say, hey, well, this is what your guaranteed money is. Maybe we sign them out for a couple of years at a lower number, still get a nice cap savings, but get a player that I think still has some things in the tank that can help us out for the next couple of years. So, Dave, I know you
think he'd be a starter?
At least for the beginning of the season, because we have to remember there is one gentleman who is not going to be ready week 1. I don't believe to actually play and be healthy. Now, he may be on the team, he may be on the active roster, but you're not going to go out and ask a guy who had a major injury at the end of last season to come back and play the same amount of steps he was playing. So you're going to need a guy at the safety position who can help out. And let's not forget, we don't want Reed Blankenship out there all game either. So we're going to have to get a rotation of guys. And that's what we've been missing at these other positions. We haven't had a rotation for a while. So once we get that back, I think we'll be looking a lot better. Diva, what up?
What up, y'all?
What's
going on? My bad for my tardiness.
Yeah, things happen.
No, I came unprepared.
Stu, what up?
What up, Unc Stu?
I know Unc got that brown with him.
Got that
Benny says, whatever how we do with the cap money, I hope he use it for the defense. The offense doesn't need much right now. So we're going to dig into that tonight, Benny, for sure. So you are definitely in the right place for some of those thoughts. All right, so David, we were going through and just naming a couple of people that we think could be cut or restructured. So I'm going to go Avonte Maddox. I'm thinking more of a restructure. But it could be a cut too. Maddox is good. But the thing with Maddox is injuries. We always talk about it in the sport. The best ability is availability. If they cut him and designated a post-June 1st move, we can save $2 million in salary. $2 million is not a lot. But excuse me, if we wait till post-June 1st, it ends up being $7 million. So that is a lot. So $2 million would be before, and then $7 million if we designate it as a post-June 1st move. I still think a restructure makes more sense with Avonte Maddox, but I do believe anytime you have a guy injury prone, especially, but even if he's not injury prone, you'd want to get backups in, guys that can help out and play in those positions. Because one of the things we saw last year is you put guys out there, you don't really give a rotation. You're just asking for injuries. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot more of, where guys getting worn out, like what happened to our defensive line at the end of the year. So I think depth is important. This is the offseason to do that. We don't need 4 tight ends. We don't need 3 quarterbacks. We need to have the right positions that we have the backups for. And we need to make sure that we are using the proper people. And people can play versatile roles. You know, people can be the third person on the depth chart. For instance, you could be the 4th or 5th wide receiver, and you can also be a kicker punt returner. You can be the 3rd running back and also be a kicker punt returner. Those are the type of things that we got to get back to doing to save some of those spots so that we can have guys that can help out, especially on the defensive end. Quick stat. I don't know if we talked about this last week or not, but all the years that we've been to the Super Bowl, we had a top 10 defense. The years that we don't have a top 10 defense, we suck. So no matter what we do offensively, the key to Philadelphia has always been, and defense. All 3 of us as long-term fans, defense. All right, David, did you want to add someone that you think we may can cut or restructure this offseason?
Bradbury, since Howie basically said that he's in the plans for this year, which I understand why, because that dead cap is something serious. But he definitely needs to be restructured because my boy getting old. He's ball berry to me, and we gotta definitely get somebody to rotate him out because he cannot keep playing full quarters on the defense. He just doesn't have it, period. So I think he definitely needs to be restructured. Back to Devontae Maddox, put that mug on the darn practice squad. I mean, I like Maddox, but my boy has never been healthy a full season. It's been a while. He is good, but he's never there to continue to display how good he is, and that's a problem. Because we always got to find somebody to take his spot all year, basically. So like him a lot, but he's never available. I mean, he's street clothes all the time, so that's not gonna help us at all in defense. So put that mug on the practice squad.
So just to give people an idea, if we were to cut Bradbury pre-June 1st, he has a $15 million cap hit for this year and a $10 million cap hit, a little bit over $10 million for next year. Everything after those 2 years is voided. If we would have $10 million in dead cap for year one and $3 million in dead cap for year two. So here's what's interesting. If we cut him post June 1st, $4 million dead money and zero cap savings this year. Next year, 32, his last year of his contract, $3,125,000, $4,724,000 cap savings. So designating him as a post June 1st cut greatly lessens, his cap hit. Now, if we trade him before June 1st, we still have those same numbers because you're trading him. If they trade him post June 1st, it's a $1 million cap savings this year, $4 million cap savings next year, and then a $17 million cap savings in 33, which is a voided year of his contract. And then we take some cap hits in the last 2 years, but it equals up to about $4.5 million. So if I'm Howie Roseman and I have this guy that I know I can trade and save money, if I keep him, we're losing money, and I can't trade him until June 1st because that's the only way it really works number-wise for us and the team who would be picking him up. I'll tell you right now. Oh, he's going to be here. Yeah, he's a big part of the team. We love James, and James is going to do a lot to help the team. Because what else are you going to say?
Exactly.
Right.
He's not going to say, yeah, we're going to try to get rid of him here in the next couple of weeks,
Yeah, we're just going to get rid of him, we're just going to cut him because, he sucks.
Did you watch his tape last year? You think we're going to keep him?
Right, but I mean, that's what you're supposed to say. I'm not saying that Howie won't keep him because Howie does some things that make you be like, why? But I will say that if you pay attention, they always say this about guys that they want to trade. And it doesn't always work because that's what makes sense, right? But they always say this. You talk about like Slay. Man, dead money and cap savings is crazy on a lot of these cats that we have signed.
Mm-hmm.
Hassan Reddick is $20 million in dead money and a $1 million in cap savings if we were to cut him post pre-June 1. Let's see if we trade him, what happens. If we trade him, pretty much the same numbers. Yeah, if we do it post-June 1, cap savings is $16 million. If we trade him post-June 1, cap savings is still $16 million. What about a restructure? A restructure?
Howie loves those restructuring.
Yeah, restructures could do some things.
But he wants to be paid, from what I've heard.
But that's the thing. You get paid by restructuring. Because when you restructure, you get you can spread the final years out. So say he's only going to play 5 more years. You could spread that dead cap with 4 or 5 voidable years at the end of his contract. So he's still going to get the money, but it's not going to hit your cap like it would right now. Because right now, he's $20 million in dead money if he's cut or traded pre-June 1. You can't take that type of hit. You really can't.
You can't.
No.
So you're going to have to do something with the contract. And they knew that when they made the deal with him. He knew that when he signed the deal. This is all business. Hassan Reddick wants to be here. He'll be willing to say, you know what? I want to get paid. I definitely want to get paid. But if he wants to stay here, that $21,877,000 cap number, it's got to come down. At least for next year. Now, it may be 15 to 17 for the next 4 or 5 years, and then a couple of voidable years after that. But it's got to come down this year if we want to go out and make some moves. And I do want to point out to all the people who've been saying, oh, Jalen Hurts' contract is the reason why all this. I'm looking to see if I can find Jalen Hurts' cap hit for next year. It is not that high.
Yeah, I think the year after too, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he's got a couple of years that you're going to be like, oh. But before he gets there, we'll be good. It's a couple of years. What else is going to happen? So his guaranteed salary is $40 million. His cap hit is $13,558,000. That's Jalen Hurts' cap hit. That's the 4th largest on the team. So a restructure for Hassan Reddick could save us as much as $11 million. A restructure for Kevin Byard could save us as much as a little bit over $9 million. If we were to do a restructure with Maddox, it could save us over $4 million. If we were to do one with Goddard, it could save us over $2 million. Sweat over $2 million, $2.5 million really. So we got guys on the team that can do some restructuring to kind of open up a little bit more cap space, which is one of the things I definitely want to talk about tonight, because we want to get into some of that. We want to help people understand like the numbers, right? We say, oh, let's go get L'Jarius Sneed, just throw out a name. Let's go get Derrick Henry. Let's bring back DeAndre Swift. Let's go sign T. Higgins. All that stuff has to fit into your cap. You can't just, this is not Madden. We can't just go trade for everybody and then take the cap hit 10 years down the road on Madden. This is like real NFL. Hard cap. So it takes some working the numbers a little bit. There are ways to play with the numbers, and Howie's really good at that part of the job. There's some things I don't like about Howie, but he's good at the number crunching. Yeah, he's good at crunching the numbers. Hey, you got to give him props where you can, because we light Howie up a lot here on Eagles Elite. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying we eat him up a lot, so I got to give him some props when he deserves it. Benny says, cut Maddox, he's never available.
Yeah, or like you said, restructure the contract, possibly make him a backup or a rotational piece. Like, you're not going to be that starter. Find someone else.
And then Philly says, what's up?
Him.
You're a little bit late.
What's going on, Philly?
So this is what I think. I think as long as Silly Sirianni is the coach, if we have Maddox on the roster, he's going to want to be the starter.
And
I think that's where he'll have a little bit of say. Like, I don't think in the day-to-day, but like, hey, if he's here, I think he's going to be the best, right? Because you're not going to bring in another guy that's better than Devontae Maddox and keep him even if you restructure. Because you could take that money and you could put that towards safety or linebacker. Which we really need help, especially if all the reports are correct and we are going to 3-4. We have honestly 2 linebackers.
He said he understands the importance of linebackers now after watching the Super Bowl. But even with Silly Sirianni still here, we got Vic Fangio. And I really think that Vic Fangio is going to have more say-so than Silly Sirianni now. So it's going to be up to Vic who's going to be on his defense, because that's not Sirianni's side of the ball. And he's just a puppet master. He's just the face right now. So it's going to be up to Vic. It's not really going to be up to Silly Sirianni, honestly. And I think Vic's word will overtake.
So I think that I would disagree with that. It's still going to be up to Howie. I think he will accept input from Vic. But I think if he's on the team, Sirianni is going to go and say, we're not going to get anybody better than him. I know he stays hurt, but he's our guy. Yeah. Look at his film when he's healthy. So I think what we're going to have is we're going to have Howie still making decisions because Howie's not going to give up control, right? Not completely. I think you'll have Vic Fangio and Sirianni both able to give input on players. Obviously, if Fangio is completely against having a guy, he's gone, right? Because it's going to be his defense. But there are certain guys, just like anytime a new coordinator or head coach or whoever comes in, these guys are untouchable. You're not good. We're keeping these guys. If you have a problem with these guys being here, don't sign a contract. So I believe that based on how we have never drafted a guy to play behind Maddox, we've never brought in a young guy. We never elevated a practice squad guy. We never scourged practice squads all these years that Maddox get hurt and bring in another guy that they believe in Maddox. Oh, if he could just stay healthy. Me, you, Wyatt, most of the people watching hopefully understand that's not who Maddox is. He's shown us that's not who he is. But I don't think Howie understands that yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of that goes into the reports that are coming out, just saying that like they're playing favorites. They have certain guys that they choose to start instead of the guys that should be starting, that are out there actually practicing and playing hard and doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, it's hard to believe any of the reports that are coming out, but I mean, some of it kind of, if there's smoke, there's fire type sort of thing. And I mean, there's players out there we've been saying for years now is like, why is he out there? Why are we putting any of these guys out here when we have better depth here? It doesn't make any sense. Quez Watkins
comes to mind.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of the coaches before, especially on the defense, really kind of just went with what was done and what was said. But I honestly don't think. I think they're going to give Vic Fangio a lot more respect. I mean, he's an old head. He's grit. So I think that he's going to have a lot more say so than silly Sirianni, especially not it being on his side of the ball. Because if it was me, I'd be like, boy, go sit down somewhere. It's not your side of the ball. You don't know anything about this side of the ball. We saw that last season, so you need to go sit down somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's where I would say there is a level to that, and I think that's what play calling. I don't think he's going to be able to have any input into the play calling on that side of the ball. I don't think he's going to have any input into what he does, his preparation. He might pop by and just have an understanding of what kind of defense Fangio has, so he'll know how to meld that with the offense when they're making an overall plan. Like, things are going bad, let's switch to this, let's do this. But we have to realize one thing. Howie Roseman is not going to give up power. That's why Nick Sirianni is still here. So, yeah, Vic Fangio is a veteran, but Vic Fangio is not going and selling, oh, this is who I want 100%, right? He's still going to have to work with Howie. And that's where concern comes in. And that's where some favoritism is still going to be in play to some people maybe being on the roster that shouldn't be. And let's be honest, if you feel like you have X player and he's really good at this position, even though there might be somebody that's great in free agency, why bring them in when we feel like we already have this guy in this position? That could become an issue down the road, and how we still going to be involved. They're not giving up control. They may succeed some. They may listen to who these two guys want, but they're not giving up control. They're not saying, oh, Vic, who do you want? That's what we're going to go get. No, you can give us a list, and we'll see if there's people on there we want to bring into the organization. That's the thing about Philadelphia. Like, I hate to say this, Dallas, and some other organizations, ownership, GM, in this case, GM, is always going to have their hand a little bit more in the pot than some fans would like.
I mean, I understand that, and that's true. But at the end of the day, Howie still has the answer to Jeffrey Lurie. And I mean, somehow Chip Kelly was able to talk Jeffrey Lurie into basically saying Howie needs to be demoted, and he was. I mean, you never know. Vic might have that same type of power over Jeffrey, because at the end of the day, they said that Sirianni wasn't reporting to Howie, he was reporting to Jeff Lurie. And at the end of the day, it's still his team, and he still tells Howie what to do, even though Howie's the money man, but he's the money man too. So you just have to see how it play out.
So I will say this. There's a lot of reports about this happening, that happened, and they said this and they said that in Philadelphia, and about 90% of them are lies. They're things that are conjured up by the media to get clickbait, to get fans to hop on and click. To me, if he's not reporting to Howie, then why is Howie the one in the press conference with him, basically being his daddy in the press conference? If you're not reporting to him,
think Howie
then how
likes.
does he have that?
I
How does
think
he have that
Howie
power
liked
over?
Nick, but I don't think Jeff did. That's why Jeff left and went to St. Martin's. It was like, y'all get it together, and that's why he called Frank Ritchie, because if he wouldn't have called Frank Ritchie, and I don't think he would have been there. They trust and they believe in Frank and what Frank says. And he was the one that said, okay, well, this is who you need to go look at. This is who you need to go look at. Not Howie, not Sirianni, but Frank. And so at the end of the day, there's still more people who have a little more pull with Jeff than Howie, because that's why Howie was sitting there, because he likes Nick. But Jeff, I don't think Jeff really did. I think that's why he went to St. Martin, told Howie, if you want your dude here, he better figure it out. They both sat down and was like, oh, let's call Frank Ritchie because Jeff likes Frank and he believes in what he said. And that's what they did. And that's why he's still there.
Right.
Period.
But if he's reporting directly to Jeff Lurie, then Jeff Lurie doesn't need Howie to do anything. He'd just fire him. So that's why I say I don't believe that he's reporting to Jeffrey Lurie. No one's reporting to Jeffrey Lurie because Jeffrey Lurie is not a football guy. Jeffrey Lurie bought the team and put a GM in place. I don't think at times the right GM, but he put a GM in place. So obviously Frank Wright is a little bit of a part of the situation as far as consultation goes. I've watched some podcasts from some gentlemen that know Frank and can reach out to him, and he definitely gave them some insight into certain candidates. But I can guarantee Vic Fangio wasn't one. Maybe he was the reason why they hired Kellen Moore. I don't know, but Fangio was the guy they wanted last year. I said this last week, and I'll go back over that. So Fangio would have been here last year, but because the Cardinals tampered with Gannon, Fangio wasn't sure if we were going to actually be able to hire a new DC, or if the NFL was going to say there's been tampering, so you can't leave Philadelphia and go to Arizona. In which case, Gannon would have stayed. So the reason why we didn't get Fangio and we got Desai last year was because by the time they sorted everything out and Gannon actually was able to go there and be signed, Fangio didn't want to wait, so he went to Miami. So Fangio was already their guy. So they didn't need anybody to tell them to get Fangio. Now, Moore, perhaps. For Kellen Moore, I'm taking a complete wait-and-see attitude. I don't have faith in Kellen Moore to turn our team around as the offensive coordinator. But how can I say that in February, about to be March, when we haven't had any OTAs? He hasn't put together a playbook. He hasn't had people running around. He hasn't done any of those things yet. So how can I really say he's not going to be good? I can say I don't have faith, and I don't. But we'll see what happens, right? He may come out. He may be great. This
certainly
may be the
doesn't
right
make
team
me feel
for
any
him.
better. Doesn't make me feel any better with this press conference where Sirianni is saying, "Oh, it's going to be a meshing of my offense and his offense." And I was like, I would rather just have Kellen Moore's offense at this point. I don't want any of Sirianni's stuff.
I think Sirianni
screens or anything like that.
I personally think Sirianni just wants to feel like he has a role with his team.
Right.
I just say he wants to be like, yeah, it's part of my offense too. Like, I don't think
no,
it's like,
bro.
Like, why are you here? What do you do? It's like
Well,
they asked him at the press conference when they announced he was back. It was like, why are you here? What do you do?
But remember one thing, though. Remember one thing. He's going to have his babysitter back next year, so he'll behave on the sidelines.
Big Dom.
Because apparently our coach, the only coach in the NFL that needs a babysitter.
So he's here to do what he did when Steichen was here, to keep the locker room together. That's it. Everything else is that.
Yeah, but he
I guess
didn't do a good job of that last year either.
Well, he didn't do it last year.
That was Dom's job.
He didn't do it last year because he was too busy trying to run the offense and didn't know what the heck he was doing. So he lost the team. But when he was doing it with Steichen, he did pretty good. They believed in Nick and they trusted Nick, and he was the hype him up guy in the locker room and on the sideline. But
or did
when
they
really saw, well, of course they trusted Shane. But I mean, I'm just saying in the locker room per se, like he was just a locker room guy and kind of get the brotherhood together. But as far as everything else on the sideline, that was Shane. That was not Nick.
Mm-hmm. I think Shane was
All
like
right.
the hard ass that was driving the offense and everything. He's making sure everybody was in check, which is pretty much what Fangio is going to be doing on defense this year that they didn't have last year. Is someone there to hold everybody accountable.
What up, Vicola? I'm going with the Lay's version of Dave. Throat's a little dry, so I'm going. What up, Vicola? Appreciate you hopping in with us tonight. And Benny says, "Here's my thing about Moore. He never coached the QB like Hurts' skill set." Well, I mean, Steichen hadn't until he coached Hurts either. I think it's understanding Hurts. I think it's putting him in a position to be a quarterback that can run and not trying to make him, he's got to run X amount of times and he's got to have all these running plays called for him. Let him go out there and play quarterback. Set up the plays, give him some RPOs, and then give him some dedicated run plays to the running backs, some dedicated pass plays to the wide receivers, and allow him to use his creativity. If he can't make the throw, allow him to take off. We don't need 10 QB draws up the middle in the game.
And that was Nick because he doesn't know how to run an offense with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts.
Nick
Or a
doesn't
shotgun
know how to
form.
run.
Yeah.
Nick doesn't know how to run a Pee Wee League offense, in my opinion.
No.
I don't know. I'm
And he
going to
didn't
keep
run
an open
plays
mind with
in
Kellen Moore,
Indianapolis.
though.
So that's
I
another
think-
point. He didn't do it with Indianapolis either.
No. I think we'll have a better offense with Kellen Moore, but I don't think it's going to be like anything amazing. But I'm here to keep an open mind about it. I think it'll be okay. I don't think it's going to be like, I don't know if it's going to be anywhere near the the Super Bowl season, but I think it was going to be a far better improvement from last year. That's for sure.
I mean, I think we'll see more running plays for sure. I did see that when he was in
A
Dallas.
little more consistency.
I don't know, Benny. I don't know if he'll put the RPOs back in the offense.
Hope so.
I do hope so. Maybe Kellen Moore is smart enough to say, well, what worked 2 years ago? Let me go something revolutionary. Let me go
look
pull
at
out
film.
the tape. Let's see what worked for Jalen Hurts. And let me
guys didn't watch
try to
any
incorporate
film?
some of those things in there.
From your Super Bowl season last year? Why not?
Did they even know how to watch film? Did they know what
I
to
don't
look for
think
in film?
They didn't even understand what they was watching if they did look at it. They probably looked at the first 5 minutes like, oh, what is this?
Well, they said the Nick's presser at the combine, he said they haven't even gone back to watch the film from this past year yet. He's like, we haven't even gotten that far.
Nick
It's like,
hasn't, because
bro, it's
What is
been
there to look
freaking
at?
weeks.
What is there to look at though? What are you looking at? For the last season, what are you looking at? There's nothing to look at.
I don't think they know how to fix any of what happened. Still.
very true. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a quick reset here. We're going to swing back, and then we're going to get into some free agency talk for the defensive side of the ball. We're going to hit that offensive free agency talk next week. So y'all got to make sure y'all come back if you want to hear that.
This is Brett, and you're watching Shady Sports Network. Tune in, hit that like button.
You might wonder, what do these guys do? Player signing announcements. I never in a million years thought you would actually come on to break this news. So without further ado, go ahead and tell everybody what happened today.
Yeah, man. I just had to work out with the Cincinnati Bengals. Signing me right out.
Without further ado, I'd like to announce that, I'll be taking my talents to Salina Liberty.
This just in, the Major League of Football is reportedly collapsing, unable to pay hotel room bills, with players being kicked out of their rooms and hotel managers asking them to leave voluntarily without issue.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching us on Eagles Elite podcast channel on YouTube, make sure you also check out Shady Sports Network. And that's youtube.com/@Shady Sports Network. And if you're watching on Shady Sports Network, make sure you hop over to youtube.com/@Eagles Elite Podcast and give us a like, share, and a sub on there as well. We would greatly appreciate that. Help both of those channels reach our goals. I do have a comment here So Benny says, but it was a good thing that Moore contacted Smitty to let him know he's going to get him the ball in better situations. Well, I would say this. While that is not a bad thing to do, right? Could he be any worse? If you did get a guy in there that could get Smitty the ball in better situations, everybody, including Jeffrey Lurie, should fire themselves.
Factual.
Because AJ got the ball like half the year, and then you didn't change up anything. So it took a lot of the steam away from him. And then with Smitty. But there were opportunities where they both could have ate, but we didn't have the right plays in place. So my question that I would like to know, have you talked to AJ Brown? That's who I want you to talk to. I want you to talk to 1K Always Open. And I'm sure soon he wants to make that 2K Always Open. So have you talked to him? That's the question. But little digression. And I did promise you guys this, that we were going to talk about this more than once. So if you're going to do some betting on BetUS, make sure you use our link here that is in the description right here for you. And hop on over, make a couple of bets, bet responsibly, as I said earlier. And as you use that promo code, we get a little kickback over here to keep these lights on, help us improve the presentation for you, help us reach out to get more wonderful people like yourselves on every week, listen to what we got to say, and maybe not cussing us out. So we'll hop back into it, guys. Free agency. So my first question for you both, do you think the added salary cap space, this $30.6 million increase, do you think that that's going to affect who is available in free agency? So there haven't been a lot of people as of yet that have been franchised, but I do believe that there will be more franchise tags coming before, I believe it's March 5th is the deadline. So do you guys think that with this major increase, it's going to affect how some people are going into the offseason, as far as maybe people that were on the bubble with and saying, well, we got a little bit more money now, so let's keep some of those guys? So do you think it's not going to matter and we're still going to have a large pool of quality free agents?
I feel like some franchise tags are coming. I know we're gonna pull some free agents because that's what Howie always does in the middle of the season, to plug up some holes, especially if some players get hurt. But I do believe there's probably gonna be some franchise tags coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll definitely affect some though too. Not just our team, but every team, because not only do you have, with the salary cap increasing, every year, every couple of years, that's when everybody's going to want to go out there and make more money. With the salary cap increase comes the deals increase, where everybody's going to be that next highest paid player at that position. Look at Reddick. He's going out trying to get 25, 30 mil a year. It's crazy. Hopefully with, the way he's able to manage the money and, handle the deals, we are able to bring him back. I just don't know how many players it's going to affect with us per se. Who knows what Cox is going to want if he comes back, or what Kelsey's going to want if he comes back. Probably like 10, 15 million, if not more, because of the salary cap. I don't know how much their deals were last time. But it definitely, as far as free agency, depending on what players you want to go out and get. If you want to get the best of the best, you're going to have to pay, and most likely even more now because of this.
Fletcher Cox cap number for this year is $5,700,000 if he decides to play.
Okay, I didn't think he was on a deal this year. I thought his deal was up
last year, so he's still in that deal.
Okay, for some reason I thought he signed a 1 year.
Yeah, he's still got another year on that one. I'll say I think it will have an effect. I do think it'll get some people more money, but first example, it's almost immediately once the new salary cap number was hit, T. Higgins got franchise. got franchise if that didn't happen because they wouldn't have had the money to pay him. So I
Right.
think what we see is, for instance, we'll use the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to say everything professionally. Kansas City Chiefs, not what I was going to call them. They have L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones. A lot of reports are that Chris Jones doesn't want to play with Kansas City anymore, right? Probably wants to chase the bag. He's got 3 rings. He probably wants to chase the bag. L'Jarius Sneed has rings. Maybe he wants to chase the bag. Maybe he wants to stay. Before, it was always an either or. With this increase, maybe you can find a way to make it both. But, and I will not say his name correctly, Patty Mayo is going to be eating up that cap this year. So that's going to be a problem. So, and there's several teams that have guys that are fringe, guys that you'd want to keep because they know your systems. Everybody doesn't have a lot of turnover in the coaching ranks like we do. Guys that know how to play together, especially on the defensive side of the ball, good solid groups that they may be able to keep. Patrick Queen from the Ravens was a guy that a lot of people are talking about is probably going to leave, right, because of money. Got a lot more that you may be able to pay now. I don't know if you're going to spend it on him, but for example, there's more there, so you'd have the opportunity to do that. So I do think there will be some teams that will be affected with having that astronomical increase in the cap. I think there's some teams that were in a rebuilding state anyway, and some teams that are saving for future paydays that they know they're going to have, right? Because keep in mind, the one difference between the NFL and other salary caps is with the NFL cap, if you don't use it, it rolls over. So if you're 30 million under the cap, for instance, that 30 million gets added to next year. So there'll be some teams that'll say, nah, we're not even going to be a contender this year anyway. So we're going to save most of that. We may re-sign a couple of guys that we might not have before, but we're going to set this up for 2-3 years in the future. Give you a perfect example. If I'm the Houston Texans, I'm not about to go and spend a lot of money in free agency unless it's on 1-year contracts, maybe, right? 1-2 year contracts. Because in about 2-3 years, I got to pick up that option for CJ Stroud, and then I got to get ready to sign him. And after the rookie year he's had, he going Johnny Manziel when he walked in that office. He gonna walk in there like eight Texans all day long, and he should. But I think that's gonna affect what some teams do as well. But I think there will be some that will say, like the 49ers, heck, like us, like the Chiefs, teams, Ravens, teams that think they have an opportunity to win a ring. It's gonna say, shoot, we got a lot more to spend. Let's get it. I think you have teams that don't feel like they're gonna be in that talk. They won't. So there'll still be some guys out there, but I don't think it'll be as many as it would have been.
Yeah. And the 49ers are how aggressive they are, not just during the offseason, but during even the regular season, how many people they're scooping up. And I mean, Howie's out here saying during the presser how aggressive he's planning to be this offseason. It's just like, we'll see how that happens, because it kind of was a little inconsistent, because he also mentioned, we have a lot of young guys that are going to be contributing and playing this year as well. So it's like, you can't have it both ways. Like, you're either going with a lot of the young guys going forward, or you're bringing in guys to start or something like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like he kind of contradicted himself in that presser, but
when Howie talks,
we'll
I just be like, that's all I do when Howie talk. I'm like, get out of here.
But we
all
do
right,
have Smitty and Leonard Dickinson we have to sign. Resign
we don't
this
have
year.
to sign. We actually don't have to resign Smitty this year. Smitty's actually his 5th-year option for 2025 next year just was communicated. So if we want to sign his 5th year, which has to be done by May 2nd, it'll be a fully guaranteed $15.59 million for 2025, which is well below what he would receive on the open market. But it does give him a dramatic increase in what he was making the last few years in this year 2024. So we can put off signing him until 2025 because he does have that 5th-year option. And it makes sense for him to sign it because it's a big pay increase. And I think if we push that money out, we're going to have more that we can spend, because I think it's planning. I think how we're sitting aside, like, for this year, we got to do this person, this year, this person, this year, this person. So get Smitty signed through 2025. You have to pay him in 2025. If you can work out early, cool, and you include that 5th-year option in whatever you're going to do moving forward, right? So there's no way that any team, especially the Eagles with Howie and his number crunching ability, is going to do a contract and not include that 5th year guaranteed in there, because That's why you pick him in the first round. That's the difference between getting a first round wide receiver, quarterback, cornerback, or whoever, and getting a second, third, fourth, fifth round. It's the difference. They guaranteed fifth year. But do you guys think players will get overpaid due to this surge in funds available for the teams?
Absolutely. I mean, you saw what happened last year. Or was it last year with Christian Kirk and the Jaguars? Like this dude
2
went
years
out.
ago. Oh my gosh.
2 years became like the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. And then there's like every NFL team's like, oh my God, he screwed us. Because now we have to go out here and overpay for every wide receiver we get now or we want to get.
When Christian Kirk did that, I was like, I want to just go punch the Jaguars like 15 times in the face.
What are you doing?
What do you think, Diva?
I don't know, man. I don't even know. It's like,
I don't think
that's
we will.
That's a real answer
for people.
No, we're not going to pay. How we ain't going to pay nobody?
How we ain't gonna pay nobody? Not when it comes to that. One thing about them numbers is he gonna look at the numbers. He be like, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. And he's not gonna do it. When you got an accounting background, you understand them numbers. You understand the money. You understand the numbers.
You associate a certain dollar amount, and I'm not going to pay over that for that position. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
It's bad, but it's good at the same time.
It is.
So targets. Let's talk about targets. So we got some positions that we know we need, right? Without a doubt. We need at least one middle linebacker, at least one outside linebacker. We at least need one starting caliber safety. We need depth at safety. We need at least one cornerback, I think, because I don't think Bradbury's going to be here. I think we do have a guy coming back, and Isaiah Rodgers, who probably can play that position. But we haven't seen him on the team yet. So until we see him, we need somebody. And then we need defensive line depth.
Definitely. Defensive line depth.
So, players. I'll give you a couple players from each position. And you tell me which one you think we should go after here. 1 second. Y'all know live. Sometimes things don't want to work the way they're supposed to for you. But that's all right. You just make it work. All right, so we're going to start. Oh, there's another one we have to do as well. So we have to add running back to that because right now we don't have a starting running back. So here's the names that are out in the market at running back. Let's see if Wyatt came back in now. Must have had something happen.
So his power went out.
Oh, that sucks. All right, so we got Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins at running back. Who would you want to bring in from that bunch?
DeAndre Swift.
I 100% agree with that. I think we should bring him back, without a doubt. All right, so some options for a possible third receiver. Mike Evans, Michael Pittman Jr., Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown, Darnell Mooney, Gabe Davis, Curtis Samuel, Tyler Boyd.
Maybe Ridley and I like Mike Evans, but dang, he old. Yeah, Calvin Ridley would be one of the ones I would say.
I agree. We're gonna go back over offense next week, but I figured since we had to talk about DeAndre Swift anyway, why not? Because he is a free agent, right? Like we don't know if he's gonna be back or not. All right, so on the defensive side, defensive line. If we could add one of these guys to our current line in some type of rotation or whatever, keeping in mind that I think we're going to a 3-4. So it'll definitely be a rotation because 3 guys can't play the whole game. We got Chris Jones. We got Justin Matabuki, Leonard Williams, Danico Autry, or Javon Kinlaw.
I like Javon Kinlaw. I like Danico Autry.
Yeah. I did also mean to say DJ Reader as well.
Oh yeah, I like him too.
I like Reader and I like Autry. I think Williams, Jones, those guys, I think the salary that they're going to want is going to place them out of how we would want to go. I don't think Chris Jones is going to hit free agency. I think he's going to end up getting franchise tagged and traded, if I had to guess. All right, so linebacker. So it's going to be some good names. So we got Patrick Queen, Levante David, Willie Gay Jr., Drew Tranquil, Bobby Wagner, and Devin White. I tell you, I want Drew Tranquil for sure. Drew Tranquil is a stat monster. I had no idea how good this gentleman was. I play in a fantasy league and we do points for defensive players. I grabbed him in a draft just because I was like, oh, Tranquil, interesting name. We'll see what he got. Like, no rhyme or reason. Best defensive player I had as far as stats and earning me fantasy points.
I like Patrick David. And I like who you just said too.
Yeah, and I like Levante David too because he's been released. So you can grab him and you don't have to give up anything. He's out there. A guy like Tranquil, Queen, those are guys I like too. Bobby Wagner's a little bit on the older side. I wouldn't mind Devin White either because I know we need multiple. I don't really expect to get like the top people, but I would like Patrick Queen.
I like
that's
Patrick
how we
Queen.
roll open the books for him. Make that thing happen. Now at corner. This is crazy. So there's a guy played really good for the Texans, but played really bad for the Eagles, named Steven Nelson, who's going to be a free agent. Of course, Jalen Johnson, L'Jarius Sneed, Chidobe Awuzie. Gilmore's already re-signed. Kendall Fuller, I don't think fits the style we want to play. Jeff Okudah, Xavier Howard, Sean Murphy-Bunting. Xavier Howard, I would look at a little bit because he came from where last year? Miami. So he's familiar with the style that we're going to play. He's familiar with how Fangio is going to coach, and he could be a guy, if he were to come, that could help on the field as far as getting other guys acclimated to the system.
Right.
And I like Jeff Okudah as well.
I like Jeff Okudah as well. Yeah, I like those two. Sneed, I don't know. He ain't been playing that well.
Benny says Calvin's going to ask for a lot of money. I don't think anybody's going to give Calvin a lot of money, though, Benny. He also says he wants Patrick Queen. I wouldn't mind Queen. Like I say, it's just a matter of what can we get.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get everything. All right, and then safety. So this list is a little bit longer because I think we have a real shot at actually getting 1 to 2 people, well, probably one person off this list. Any of these people, I think we can get one of the guys off this list because worst case, they come in and start half the season and then they get put in a rotation, but we're going to need to play guys more than we did last year. So I think there's still a lot of playing time. And if it's a short deal, it may be the starter all of next season. So we have Antoine Winfield Jr., Xavier McKinney, Kyle Duger, Julian Blackman, Jordan Whitehead, Jordan Fuller, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I really think that we have a good chance of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson coming back because he didn't have, obviously he was injured, but he didn't have as good of a year last year, even in the games that he played that he did with us. I think he's just a good fit for Philadelphia. And we'll welcome him back, even though he did all that little snake stuff when he left. We'll welcome him back. That's how we do.
I definitely want CJGJ back. I heard that basically it was. I mean, I don't know how true it is, but it was basically because they got rid of what's his name, Denard, and he wanted Denard. He believed in Denard. But I personally love CJGJ. I think he fit perfectly into Philadelphia. He played very, very well at a high level in Philadelphia. Probably the best he's played because he really didn't play that well. And with the Saints, he played okay, but not the level that he played with Philadelphia. And you see, he didn't play that well with Detroit. When he had injuries, but he was injured with Philadelphia, but he played like a monster. So I want my boy back in green. Okay. All right. I still got love for him. I don't care what he did. I still got love for him. That boy was a beast and he gave us energy.
I wouldn't mind him, Antoine Winfield Jr., Xavier McKinney, or Jordan Fuller. Shoot, Julian Blackmon wouldn't be bad either. So there's a lot of good people on this list.
He really wouldn't.
And the one thing about the squad is we're always going to have some of those guys. We're always going to make things happen. All right, we got
and I mean, he might. He only signed a year, Yeah. That's probably why he did that.
Benny says bring Johnson back. And he says CJ brought that swing to Philly. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So, Diva, last thing. And you're going to love this one. I know you saw it. I know when you saw it, you was like, yeah, you probably had a choice word into your mind for me. But it's all good. We gotta get people both sides. So last week, most of the season, we basically took the Philadelphia Eagles and we drug their hind parts through the dirty doo-doo mud with how things went. But I will say, stepping back from my emotions, there were some positives from last year. Not a lot, but there were some. So, Diva, any positive takeaways from our season of disappointment?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to think of the first 10 games. But there really wasn't no the only thing I could say was positive was the way that Desai would adjust. Now, there was maybe one or two games that he really just for some reason couldn't figure out how to adjust. But majority of the part, he really did a good job. And we also got to think about the fact that the defense spent majority of their time on the field because the offense could not get anything going. And you cannot expect, I don't care what defense you put on there, you cannot expect them to play high level each game when your offense can't even be on the field for no longer than 2 minutes. So that is the reason why it made it look like Sean Desai didn't know what he was doing or he was struggling. It's the fact that he always had his boys on the field because Nick's side of the ball didn't know what the hell they were doing. So I can say to me that was a positive until he became the scapegoat. And then we just saw it just went all the trash then. Highlights of DeAndre Swift when we actually did use him. He was amazing. I wish we would have saw him more. We had some amazing highlights with AJ and Smitty. My boy Jalen struggled a lot, but I mean, he had some highlights. I mean, he had a lot more turnovers, but he did have some highlights until we just got to the point where it was no point of no return. But that would be my takeaways from the season that just passed.
All right. So the run blocking for the offense was amazing this past season. They even had gaining well at opportunities just because of how well they played when they were allowed to run the ball, which wasn't enough. Swift, of course, with his 1,000-yard season, first in his career. I would say the emergence of some young players. We had our young corners get an opportunity to actually get in a game and play. We saw them get in and kind of make some things happen because you have to play in order to make a difference. And we didn't let those guys play enough earlier in the season. And when I'm talking, and the people I'm talking about here, just to make sure we're clear, are primarily our cornerbacks, right?
Eli Ricks.
Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo, and of course Sidney Brown. Once they finally actually started giving him, more time into the game. Some guys I would have liked to see more of would have been like Moro Ojomo, Marlon Tupeludo, and they even admitted Nolan Smith was definitely one. I would like to see, those guys and some of the other guys, get more opportunities. Zach McPherson will be back, so that'll be something to be excited about next year because I think he's a guy that, while not a starter, can definitely get things done in spurts. I would like to see what Mekhi Gardner has. One of our guys that was on the practice squad, I'd like to see him, see more of him. But I think we did get some of the young guys later in the season getting opportunities. And the big thing about getting opportunities is you have to get them in order to show what you can do. So hopefully, that continues this upcoming season. I think the development of Tyler Steen was important. Tyler Steen, not anywhere near, I feel like, what he should have gotten, but he did get some opportunities to get in and play some games because of Cam Jurgens being injured. And I think you need to have him get that in order to become the guy. You want him to be your guy at the right guard moving forward, right? Maybe not this year, maybe one more year of Kelsey and Jurgens is there, but Tyler Steen is a guy that was earmarked to be that guy. I brought him to see if he can be that guy moving forward. So want to see what he can do. He did do, I think, pretty well when he got opportunities, but more opportunities for him there. I think the guys that we brought in, the wide receiver and Julio Jones and Olamide Zaccheaus, did really well. I think they should have gotten more time than Quez Watkins. But when he was injured and that rotation was a little bit more tightened up, we saw a pretty good group there. Yeah. And I did like what I saw, and I hope that Olamide is back. Julio, I don't expect him to play all season. He's advanced age. If he wants to play, he don't want to go through training camp and those things, and I don't blame him. I want to see what Ben Van Summeren has to offer us too. He's another one of the young guys. He got played at the end of the season because of injuries. I just want to see what he has to offer us as well. But those are some of the positives I saw. Young players getting a chance to play on the defensive side of the ball and making plays. We still see that Big Play Slay has something left. We saw the emergence of two good young safeties. Unfortunately, one of them is injured and he's not going to be able to start the season. And we did see that our big boys, even though they got a lot of hate, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, we did see when they got an opportunity to play in a rotation and not get burnt out too fast, they're the truth. They're the real deal. So
the real deal.
Lots of, I think, positives. I think a lot of the negatives is play calling, how guys were used, not players themselves. And we're getting away from the people that had a big part to do with that. So we should see at least some improvement. So Benny been around with us the whole show. Benny says there's some good prospects in the later rounds of the drafts this year. How he needs to listen to Vic when it comes to the players he wants. Benny, I'll tell you this. Maybe Howie listens to Vic. Maybe Vic's the guy Howie's going to listen to. But even when you talked about Frank Reich, how everybody loves Frank Reich and all that, Howie really listens so much. Howie's going to do Howie at the end of the day. That can be good. That can be bad. But one thing we do know is that's part of what we do moving forward. So, Diva, any last thoughts?
Oh, well, first and foremost, let me shout out Benny for this hat. Like, it literally just came in the mail before I hopped online. I appreciate you, Benny. Like, y'all better check out my boy, y'all. Y'all go check out my boy and buy some of his stuff. You see this? Like, yes, I that's all I can say. Appreciate you, Benny, for all the love. Stupid.
Big bird.
Benny, I need one of them. I need one of them.
I need one of them. I need one of them that she got with the helmet.
So you got flip-flop.
Yeah, we need a flip-flop next time.
But yeah, I'm just ready to, we going into March. April is the draft, so I'm ready to see how we gonna do in the draft. You can't never praise Howie in the draft because it's always like, what are you doing, man? Like, he always got one draft pick that he
50-50 at best
jacks up so bad, and we just hope it's not a Nelson Aguilar or what is the other dude's name? the other wide receivers he be getting it ain't worth nothing. Okay, so let's hope it's not
Trasher.
Yeah. Jalen Rieger. And Ortega Whiteside was another one. But I'm ready to see what this draft will bring. But yeah, let's keep it moving. Hopefully soon the season will be upon us and we can actually see what all these new pieces that we have acquired are going to do for our 2024-25 season. And as always, fly Eagles fly.
Yep. So a couple things for me. First, drop below right here. Check out all the different places where you can find your boy at. Also, always make sure you get 2 of those friends and 4 of those enemies to hear about us. May not like you, but it doesn't mean they won't like us. And I have elected to add a positive thought at the end of every episode moving forward. So get used to hearing this. It's never how you start. It's always how you finish. With that being said, we're ending the show for the evening. Make sure you're back with us next week. And when you're watching this later, shout out to you as well. And we can't interact with you if you're watching it later, but we appreciate the watches. Always like, always share, always subscribe.
You know it.
Do we even really need to say that anymore? I guess we do, just in
you
case
do.
somebody
you
forgot.
Do. Keep us in the algorithm, okay? That's how you keep us there, is that like and that share and that subscribe.
We need that.
We do.
And we out.
All right.